We're live on Winning Rolls with Brian today, and today we're going to give out our prizes for the first half of summer on our big summer contest. We always do a summer deal contest, so we're right in the middle of our summer deal contest. Yes, you can still enter in deals at any stage. It's nice if they're all the way done. If you've worked with the seller and you've got a signed agreement, I love to hear those stories, obviously. But if you're even, working a deal, I'd love to hear about that. Maybe I can even help you close a deal. And remember, sometimes that first deal is that's the deal that's the hardest, and it's the game changer. It makes you believe you can do it, and all of a sudden you are just rocking and rolling, and it's a snowball effect. So get that first deal this summer and win our deal contest. I'm telling you, if you get your very first deal, if you close a deal this summer and it's your first deal, I guarantee you I will give you a prize. All right, you're an automatic winner if it's your first deal. So we have our deal winner for the first half of summer 26 is going to be Lucky. So, and Lucky, there I see that you are on. Awesome. So Lucky, good morning. And you win a prize. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about you and your deals. All right. So this has really been, you sent in a lot of really great stuff. And actually, guys, I wanted to show you. Yes. Okay. That's my lack of preparation, guys. I wanted to actually show you some pictures because Lucky did a bunch of these deals, and he sent me actual photographic proof. And so, yay! So yes, Lucky's our winner. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Lucky's going to get to pick a prize. Guys, if you want to see the choices of prizes, basically just go on our website, go on thewolfcouple.com, and go to the Wolf Shop, and look at all the incredible systems we've created over the years for real estate investing. We're giving away whole systems, so you guys can actually win a whole system. That's awesome. So I want to tell you a little bit about Lucky and the story of his deals. This has been a really great story, and I got 2 deals that he turned in that I want to actually share with you. Lucky says, oh, I just want to share a recent deal that happened. It was a flash. Okay, and he got a text from one of his car advertising signs. Now, I'm going to go grab my phone. Guys, I got to leave for 10 seconds. I'm going to grab my phone because I want to show you a picture of his phone, of his car. Okay, so this is a picture of the advertising on the car. Now remember, everybody has a little bit different advertising, and I want you guys to do things with your car. So here Lucky did something with the back. And guys, what's my favorite line? I hope it's okay that I'm sharing this, Lucky. What's my favorite line? Paying full price. I pay full price. This is good. I buy houses. I pay full price. This is good messaging. Another thing we like to say, my 2 favorite lines is full price for your house or sell now for full price. Okay, so those are my 2 favorite lines, but this is great. This is exactly what I like. The words full price. So again, I buy houses, I pay full price. So Lucky got a call off of that sign. Isn't that awesome? So he got a call off of his car sign, and it looks like it took about $500 to get the signage, it sounds like, on his car, and he's making a $10,000 to $15,000 non-refundable option deposit and a $300 a month positive cash flow on this property. So this was a deal that I like because you know that I tend to lean towards less expensive houses because usually the cash flow is going to be a little bit better. If you can get them under 200,000, usually the cash flow is a little bit better on those. Lucky's 2 deals. He's got one that's worth about 195, which is under 200, and then he's got another one that's worth 350, and but he's still got cash flow on it. So I like that a lot. So let me tell you a little bit more here. Here's Lucky and his lovely partner, I believe. Okay, showing us a deal that they did, showing us the contract. Yay! So you guys are showing us the contract that you got on this deal. I love that picture. Guys, always get pictures of yourself in front of your houses too. So when you're doing deals, you should get, and this should be, if you haven't done a deal, and this is one thing that I kind of regret, is that I didn't get pictures of my sellers and me. And it's sometimes it's kind of awkward. It's not the easiest thing to get your seller in the shot, but at least I want you standing in front of the house. Now, the trick of this is that once you go out there once and buy it, there's really a lot of times no reason, if you're pretty well automated, no reason that you will go out there again unless you're doing a 1-hour open house. And then you'll go out there for that a couple times. But, a lot of times, especially if you're buying these houses at a distance, you're never going to be standing in front of this house. But I do want you to get pictures of all your houses, keep them in your portfolio. But I like the picture of you guys there showing the contract, of this deal that you did. So that's great. So that house, the one that's what it looks like. So that's the one that's under 200. And that's the one I like the cash flow on it. And let me tell you guys a little bit about the stories of these deals. I like the way Lucky explained these deals. Okay, so here, this first one, the seller, let's talk about the one where they called off of his car sign. He says, this one's actually funny. I barely had to explain the deal. Didn't even have to talk about the benefits very much. She was practically selling Lucky the house, pushing the house. Her husband had to move to Missouri by the end of July, and she didn't want to pay 10% in commissions and closing costs to sell this house. And they had recently bought it 3 years ago, so it had a 27-year mortgage on it to take over. Okay, so she was completely comfortable with his first payment also. And this is a trick that I don't talk about that much because sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. You can ask your seller in the closing, hey, I'm going to start making payments in October, because you can try to make a case for this for them to make the next 3 payments. And you can make the best case you can why they should do that. At least you can get them to make one more payment, because when you're paying a mortgage, you pay it in arrears. So if you live there in June, you would make the payment in July to cover your June living there. So if you can explain that to them and get one more payment, it buys you a little bit more time. But on this one, Lucky actually got her to pay 3 more payments, which is a strategy that sometimes we will attempt if the seller seems very flexible. And this seller was so flexible. In fact, she's completely comfortable with it. And his wife even told him that afterward, the seller was saying yes to everything that you pitched. Obviously, your wife was listening. She joked that if you'd asked for 4 months of payments, she probably would have said yes to that. And she was so comfortable because now the way this deal is structured, and this is interesting, she owes $160 on a VA mortgage. All right, now the purchase price is $185 on a property that's worth about $195. So when it's back on the market, our asking price is probably going to be $199.9. Okay, just under 200 there, and buying it for 185, that leaves us a spread. But remember, this house isn't going to sell for many years, so that spread's going to grow. That back end payday is going to grow as the mortgage gets paid down and the property appreciates in value as well. So the picture that your back end payday gets better and better, but you're going to collect on the property like this. You're looking for a 10% non-refundable option deposit / down payment. And so maybe putting 15 or 20 grand in your pocket because you're getting this for nothing down. Now, here's something called the deal after the deal. This is taking you guys to the next level. This is a deal where you got super seller financing. Okay, there's 2 really good strategies on this deal that I'm going to teach you. Now, why am I here? Why are you here? You're here to get encouragement and instruction. Okay, encouragement and inspiration, just saying, hey, I can do this, and Brian believes I can do it, so I can do it, and I'm giving you a lot of positive expectations. And then the second part is the instruction, where you're learning the nitty-gritty of, oh, that's how that works, or that's how I can put together a deal like that. So on this deal, there's something called super seller financing. You're buying it for $160. You're actually buying it for 185, but you're taking over a mortgage of 160. That means she has $25,000 of equity still in that house. Does she want all that right away? Well, here's what we say. We say, so the way we usually work this, and that's one of my favorite lines, the way we usually work it is, and so the way we usually work it, when this deal happens, the way we usually work it is we'll pay you that when we cash out. And that's all I say. So the difference between what you owe, 160, and this is right in your super seller financing script in your what to say system. So the difference between what you owe and what we're buying the house for is 25,000. The difference between 160 and 185. So the way this usually works is we'll pay you that when we cash out. Do you understand that, right? Now I say you understand that right a lot to make sure they understand it and they're saying yes to it. So if they say yes to that, you just got $25,000 of super seller financing because there's no payment, no interest rate, and you're going to pay it off whenever. That is the best seller financing you can get. And so you got $25,000 in seller financing. You're taking over a mortgage of 160. You have a positive cash flow of $300 a month. You're putting little down on this deal. The numbers, I remember you telling me the numbers on this, but it was very little down. It was actually purchase price 185, ARB 195, 27-year sweetheart seller financing, and a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 1,350 square feet. So yes, everything great about that. And so yes, and so you're getting it for nothing down. And so that is the great thing. That's the great thing about these deals is that usually when people buy a rental property, they think, well, I'm going to have to put 20% down and I'm going to be cash out of pocket for a long time before I can make that up with my rent. No, when we teach this lease purchase exit strategy, you're collecting a big non-refundable option deposit up front. So you are making a huge amount of money up front. Okay, so that's what I want you guys to be aware of. All right, so that was a really great deal. And that was one of them. Now the other one, so Lucky actually sent in 2 deals. He's a double winner. I love it. So, and now this other deal is interesting. And this one kind of came and went. It's actually, and you got creative. Why do they call it creative financing? Because sometimes you have to get creative. So I really like this one too. And I'm going to talk to you guys about this one. And if you have questions or anything, that's great. I know Lucky is learning this. The way we usually work it is, and you understand that, right? Yes, those are some key words that Lucky is talking about, and he listens to our closing call and uses these words a lot. So again, Lucky knows that it's in the scripts. If you're saying the right things on the phone, guys, you are going to be smart and you're going to get these things done. Hey, Doris, looking at a couple houses this week. That's awesome. I can't wait. All right. So yes. So guys, here's what I'm going to, now let me talk about this other one. All right. This is the one that's the $350,000 house. And let me go over the story on that one. So this one, the seller saw one of your bandit signs. Now guys, I don't know if you like putting out bandit signs or not, but we got 6 out of our first 10 deals off bandit signs. So just look at your area. Some areas, they work really well, sometimes not as well. They are kind of a hassle, but I got a lot of business off bandit signs, and you just say sell now for full price or full price for your house, and then your phone number. Okay, so this one came off the bandit sign, and they met the same day and they signed the agreement the following day. So is that striking while the iron is hot? If you get a call from a motivated seller, try to get out there that day. So you sign, but sometimes it takes a couple of visits. So you sign the agreement the following day. His motivation was simple. His wife didn't like the area. She wanted to move back to Augusta, Georgia, and he had just finished his military service. So guys, if you live in an area where there's a lot of military housing, there's a lot of turnover there, and you can make some really good deals for these guys because they don't like the hassles. They just want to be done. And sometimes those deals work really well. So they thought it was the perfect time to vacate. Next day, got a text saying there was a problem. Seller had lined up an apartment in Augusta that they thought they were going to get, but then they were losing out on the apartment, and the wife still didn't want to stay, so it kind of went back and forth, and eventually they sat down with the property manager in Augusta and figured it out. And so isn't that clever and creative, guys? Lucky ended up sending some money some closing costs. Now, whenever you buy a house, you're going to have your sellers go in there for a closing, and there's going to be some kind of closing cost with your attorney or title company. So on this one, it was $2,300 to take ownership of the property, buy it and own it. Sometimes there's transfer taxes. Some in Florida, they call them dock stamps, something like that. And then $2,300 paid to the management company to relocate the tenants, and $1,000 to the new seller. So just some extraneous expenses that made the deal happen, guys. A little money up front lubricates the wheels, makes it happen. So sometimes you got to do that to make the deal happen. So would you pay $7,300 up front to get a 27-year mortgage, not in your name? Remember, these are two mortgages that Lucky's taking over. Neither one is in his name. He's got them both for 27 years. And so he's got two properties here that he's going to own for a long, long time and make a lot of money off of, and have nice down payment, not nice option deposits up front to put some cash in your pocket. So, this sounded awesome. And now remember, the deal after the deal. Let me talk about that. This is a pretty advanced concept, but remember, on that one deal, they owe 180, 165. The super seller financing is how you get it up front. But then there's a deal after the deal. So we've got $25,000 of super seller financing hanging out there. Now, what happens when your lease purchase tenant buyer is ready to buy? You're going to call the seller and you're going to say, hey, Mr. Seller, and you can be as aggressive on this as you want. If you feel like they deserve their whole $25,000 and I'm not going to try to get a discount, fine, pay them their whole $25,000. But if you want to get a discount, a lot of times you can call the seller and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I owe you $25,000 on this deal. We came into some money. I'm interested. I'm going to get you some money on this deal. But, would you, if you, I have an exact script for this, but would you, if I could pay you off in the next 30 days, what's the least that you could settle that debt for? Okay, now that sometimes they have no numbers in their head. You should have a number in your head. Sometimes they really slash it down. I mean, if you get half of it off, that's pretty amazing. I've seen people pay 10 cents on the dollar though. So you can be pretty aggressive on this negotiation. A lot of times if you would just give them $5,000 for that 25,000, they'd be happy if you could do it, tomorrow. And so, but a lot of times if you can cut it way back. If you can sell it for 10 or 15 grand, obviously that's more money in your pocket. All right. So that's called the deal after the deal. It's just going back and renegotiating any chunk of seller financing that's still owed to try to get a discount on that. And it just builds your profit margin. Okay. So that is great. That's called the deal after the deal. And that may happen way down the road. That might happen 5 or 10 or 15 years from now. So the seller might have almost forgotten that they had that 25,000 coming. And when you call them, they might go, oh, wow, if I could get $5,000, that sounds great. So every deal is a little bit different. And Lucky, thank you again for all the valuable seller calls you've shared on YouTube. Yes, guys, our YouTube calls are great. They've helped me tremendously. You guys are the legends. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so Lucky's all full of compliments here and gave us lots of great feedback and did incredible deals here. So Lucky, you are our big winner. 2 deals that I could teach a lot. I taught super seller financing. I taught a lot of our best scripting. Remember, after you pitch something that's a really important point, you understand that, right? Okay, or doesn't that sound good? Or doesn't that sound great? Those are my 3 favorite closing lines. Sometimes I say, doesn't that sound good? You're going to leave the mortgage in your name, but we're going to take care of everything so you can just move on with your life. Doesn't that sound good? Okay, so I do just follow the scripts. That's my best advice, and I'm sure Lucky would echo my sentiments there that, yes, follow the scripts, and that's going to get you home. So Lucky is our big winner. Yay, Lucky. Great job. Great job. And this is, you guys are going to celebrate. These houses look gorgeous, really nice houses. And so Lucky's going to be our big winner here for the first half of our summer contest. So yay, 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 celebrate. Okay, so Lucky, text me and I will line up your prize. Now remember, guys, you can win a prize. You can win a prize just like Lucky. You can choose anything. You go to thewolfcouple.com, you look at the Wolf Shop, you can choose anything that you want on there when you win the prize. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys turning in leads over the next couple of selling pretty house system. Okay, I got this one program called the 1 hour sale, but it's really all about selling homes, and it's selling homes in the 3 different strategies. I'm not going to talk about it now, but it's private showing, self showing, and 1 hour open house, and I really get into the whole thing. So I'll talk about that more. Selling tips, okay, and selling expensive houses. Yes, looking at a couple houses this week. That's awesome, Doris. And I love teaching you guys the way we usually work. And guys, these are a couple of the great lines in the scripts that are important. Let's see, haven't seen a way to talk directly to sellers. Okay, now, you know what? Now, if you're, I don't know what you're looking at on Zillow, because if you find a FSBO on Zillow, usually it says property owner, and there's a property owner's phone number there, and that's the owner. So usually if you're looking at Zillow, there are a bunch of realtors down at the bottom, because a bunch of realtors pay Zillow to advertise. So be careful. Don't call all those realtors. Even when you're calling a listed property, you have to be really careful, because there's a bunch of realtors that are advertising, and then the actual listing realtor may have no advertising on there or anything, just their phone number. So be careful. But now there is some areas, I will say that Wisconsin, the realtors in Wisconsin all got together, and I don't know how they did this, but they got Zillow to not do FSBOs in Wisconsin anymore. So there's some quirky things state by state, but mostly if you're looking up FSBOs on Zillow, it should have the property owner's phone number in there that you can call and read the FSBO opening call script. Remember, and have the seller financing closing call script sitting right next to you, because if they're giving you the right answers on the FSBO opening call, I don't want you to hang up and call them back. I want you to go right into the closing call and try to close that deal. Okay, so doing bandit signs is a lot of work, but they work great, because the seller who calls you, that sign is very motivated. Guys, I've done great with bandit signs. So yes, they are a lot of work, and they get, people take them down and you lose them and everything. And they're kind of pricey, because they're about $4 or $5 each. And but guys, they definitely work. If you put 20 signs out every weekend, that, I used to put 50 signs out every weekend, but I really was motivated. So okay, so yes, we're going to talk more about selling homes on the higher end of the market this week. And Lucky, I'm going to turn you guys. Lucky's going to take the 1 hour home selling system, because he's buying all these houses. He's got to get the best strategies to sell them. So we're going to be sending you that. Yeah, can you submit your own contract with a realtor? Normally, a realtor will only sell you the house if they do the deal on a realtor contract. That's okay. You just be careful, because there's some contracts like Louisiana where they just be careful. Whenever you do a realtor contract, there's some things built in there where if you don't go through with it, they can come after you and all this other junk. So be careful for sure in Louisiana with a realtor contract, but read over your realtor contracts, ask your AI assistant, or ask your AI, what is different about realtor contracts in Kansas or wherever you are. But yes, we use realtor contracts when we buy houses from realtors. And I do want you guys buying houses from realtors. Okay, I have a whole Realtor Riches program that everybody should be using. Seller listed 2 days before my travel to view. Oh, you were about to go see your house and then they listed it with a realtor. That happens. Keep following up though. Sometimes they get sick of that realtor pretty fast. In 30 days, the realtor promised them they'd sell it the first weekend. And it didn't. If it doesn't sell in 30 or 60 days, you might be the answer. So don't give up. Keep following up on any house like that you were interested in. It may not sell through the realtor. There's a good chance of that. Okay. Okay, guys, you can reach sellers other ways. You can look up, there's a reverse directory, White Pages reverse directory, where you put in a phone number and it gives you the name of the person. There's a lot of skip trace programs out there that are very cheap. that where you can do it for, you know, a dime, a listing or something like that. But yes, if you find a house and you know the house is what you want, but if it's listed as a FSBO, there's going to be somebody to contact, and it's not going to be the agent. It's going to be the owner somehow. So keep checking that out. Okay. Now, guys, what we did on the signs, we left them out. Okay. I mean, I would put, but here's the thing. In Gilbert, we would pick them up. In Gilbert, the code enforcement was brutal, and we would definitely get calls if my signs were out there on Monday. So if I was going to do something in Gilbert, I would put them out on Saturday morning at the crack of dawn and pick them up Sunday. If I was doing it in Mesa, I'd put them out and I'd leave them out because Mesa's code enforcement was really lax. And I would drive by a sign that was put out, you know, 3 weeks ago and it's still sitting there. So you don't want to go pick those up. So that's I can talk more about signs, guys, if you want me to. Okay, listing. First house was bought by a realtor. Okay, bandit sign. Okay. Okay, guys. Okay, house was 9K with realtor, 12K. Okay, all right. So guys, yes, there's all ins and outs with working with realtors. I'll talk more about that if you want me to next time. But I just wanted to celebrate and congratulate Lucky one more time. Congratulations, Lucky. Let's give Lucky a big round of applause. Great job on those 2 deals. And we'll talk more about selling your houses and marketing your houses on Friday. Why don't we do that? All right, so yay for Lucky. Let's all go yay, Yucky. Yay, Lucky. Good job. And I love your pictures. Guys, don't forget to take lots of pictures of your deals. And we will follow up and keep talking with you guys. And remember, you got a month and a half to turn in deals here. But even if they're not really developed, even if you just talk to the seller once and you have questions, and maybe we'll help you work out that deal and it'll become a deal that'll win the deal contest. So congratulations one more time, Lucky. Thanks everybody for being here today, and I will see you guys all on Friday. Until then, keep expecting success, getting awesome training from the Wolf Couple, and taking action, calling leads, calling those FSBO leads. Yes, keep going, guys. Yes, so guys, ask me more questions. Thank you, Lucky. We'll see you guys on Friday.